Okay, enough of that. Oh, let's have another sip of whatever you're drinking. Here's to you. And we will move along to more stuff right here on the Box of Sound live podcast. Oh, other new records. Last week, I talked about this. The last, supposedly, allegedly, the last Beatle record, Now and Then. And it came out. Here it is. World's worst cover. Much better cover. Courtesy of Olivia Harrison. If you get this record, well, there, I'll just read it here. There's this thing in here about, here it is. It says, there was one final bit of happenstance, eventually reflected on the image used, which is right here. It says Now and Then. Along with a new painting by the acclaimed American artist Ed Ruscha on the song's accompanying cover art. Well, there's the Ed Ruscha thing, which many people have said, this is terrible. But it says here, this is a clock featuring the words Now and Then, created by an American artist called Chris Griffin, bought by George Harrison in 1997 from a shop in Providence, Rhode Island, and kept for years at the home he shared with his wife, Olivia. She recently decided to have a closer look at it. I put it on the mantelpiece, she says. Then the phone rang. It's Paul, and he began to remind me of the third song with Real Love and Free as a Bird. I said, I remember it. He said, it's called Now and Then. And she's standing there with the phone in one hand, and she's looking at the clock that said Now and Then. She says, I was sort of dumbfounded. I said, you know what? I think this is George saying that it's okay. So, yes, all four Beatles worked on this song, Now and Then. And my copy is the blue vinyl, even though it's kind of like almost a teal here, almost a green. That's the song. It's 7-inch 45 RPM, even though it has the small hole, because people have forgotten what the little 45 RPM spider is. And the flip side has the 2023 mix of Love Me Do, the very first single by the Beatles on Parlophone. So, what's that you're saying? 2023 mix? What? What are you talking about, Bill? Well, many of you know what I'm about to start talking about. These albums here, the Red and Blue Beatle compilations, okay? These were re-released again this week. It's going to be the second re-release of these sets. I mean, they originally came out in 1973, 50 years ago. And then they were re-released with a digital refurbishment, I think about 10, 15 years ago, something like that. And they re-released these albums again, okay? 2 record sets, 2 CD sets, 4 CDs altogether. But if you are familiar with this Revolver, the 2022 mix. Yeah. See this? The new stereo mix by Giles Martin and Sam O'Kell. It doesn't say much more, but this remix, I mean, they had done the Sgt. Pepper remix, they had done the White Album remix, then they did this remix, and also the Let It Be remix has been done with the assistance of technology developed with Peter Jackson's people. That because In their earlier heyday, the Beatles recorded stuff on 4-track, 2-track, and sometimes 8-track. Never really got to full-blown 16-track recording. So what this new technology does, and I've explained this before, is it takes one track which may have more than one instrument on it. Because if you listen to the early stereo version of the Beatles albums, you'll have the whole band over here and the vocals over here. It'll take the single tracks that contain multiple instruments, and through machine learned programming, it will separate each of the individual instruments out of that. I don't know how it's done. It's not something that's accessible to normal people like you and I yet. But they were able to take these and separate all the tracks and make brand new stereo mixes out of them. And a lot of the tracks, mostly on the older one, the 62 to 66, there's lots of remixes on here. And most of them are pretty interesting and pretty good. And only some of the songs on the 67 to 70 are remixed with the 2023 mix. But every single song on there, with the exception of Now and Then, which has only been mixed once since it's brand new, the last Beatles song, allegedly, they've added new songs. It's now a 3-record set, 2 3-record sets, and 2 more 2 CD sets. They've completely reimagined and remixed the Beatles songs. So how is it? I listened to some of them last night over Spotify. In some cases, they really do enhance the Beatles songs because you're able to hear the drums in stereo. You're able to hear separate guitars. The bass sounds wonderful in most cases. So they're able to mix this a bit better or just differently. In no case have they ruined the songs by remixing them. There's a couple that come close. For example, I Am the Walrus had a whole bunch of real strange sound effects going through it, and it sometimes overshadows the musical part of the song, and you can tell it's different when you're listening to it. But there's some songs that really sound a lot better. Hey Bulldog sounds fantastic remixed. I loved it. And that's one of my favorite latter-day Beatles songs. Then there's things like I'm the Walrus. They futzed with it a bit too much. And then one of the earliest Beatles songs, Please Please Me, you listen to it and you hear mistakes. There's a couple of bum notes. There's one wrong note in the singing, and there's one wrong guitar note played. It's kind of funny, but very, very revealing. So be warned. If you buy these new red and blue compilations, and is this also a hint that they're going to re-release the remainder of the Beatle albums that have not been re-released already, just to get yet another infusion of cash into the remaining Beatles estates? We don't know. There is always people that'll buy it. One thing that I'm kind of upset about is when you take a look at the new versions of 62, 66, and 67, 70 when they're at the store, there's not that much on the cover that's letting you know that this is a newly expanded and newly remixed version of the album. So that's going to mislead a lot of people. It's like, hey, why is this all of a sudden in the store? And some people may not even buy it because, oh, they just repressed them. So that is what I have to say. I may go through and listen to all the 2023 remixes of the songs and comment on song by song by song in a separate video. I may also take what you're watching right now and turn it into a separate video. Hello, people who are watching this separate video. I usually do live streams every Saturday, but it was a lot easier for you to watch this because it's a separate video. So, if you like what you've just seen, please hit like, please subscribe if you have not subscribed already, and come back and watch some more music videos later, okay? Had a great time. Hope you did too. Go listen to some music, and I will see you next time. Beatles forever.